Tony Cross is well known in Wales and beyond for his major input into the very successful conservation programmes on both the red kite and chough. His practical involvement saw the kite population increase from hovering on the brink of extinction to an ever-expanding self-sustaining population. And while kites and choughs have been major programmes, he has also established and carried out many other long-term projects on a range of species to gain an understanding of their conservation statuses. These include woodcock, dipper, nightjar, dunlin, mute swans, and of course various raptors. In recent years, he has enhanced his ringing with colour ringing studies of hawfinch in North Wales and migrant waders on the Dyfi estuary, all of which have greatly expanded our knowledge of these species' range and their movements. He is more than generous with his time and has passed on his knowledge and skills to a large number of ringers, providing valuable experience to their training. One thing he cannot pass on are his legendary climbing skills, which unfortunately time does not allow me to elaborate on. For anybody who spends any time in his company, they cannot but be infected with his inspirational enthusiasm for ornithology, which is passed on to so many folk, both young and a little bit older. And secondly, his deep concern for the conservation of birds and all associated matters, and by so doing, contributing to the objectives of the BTO. Congratulations, Tony, on this award. Well deserved, mate.
Hi everyone, hope you're enjoying the online conference. Not really Swanwick though, is it? So hopefully things will be back to normal soon. Wow, this is a bit of a shock and a surprise. Thank you very, very much. Really very much appreciated. When I heard recently that I'd been awarded this wonderful Jubilee medal, I genuinely wondered what I'd done to deserve it. In a Jonathan Van Tam-esque analogy, I'd like to explain why I'm really, really proud and pleased to accept. Building and construction work is vital to the continued existence of modern society. In that process, we can't all be architects and structural engineers, but even the most elaborate buildings are built by labourers and craftsmen, one piece at a time. Similarly, continued research is vital to the continued existence of the BTO. And whilst research projects become ever more sophisticated and technologically advanced, it is still true that most core monitoring is done using volunteer data. Every bird sighting entered onto Bird Track, every ring bird entered on Demon, every nest record card submitted to the nest record scheme, and every colouring sighting reported is a brick in that construction. No individual brick is that important, but collectively they're all vital. I've never possessed the necessary skills to be an architect, but I've trained a good few craftsmen and apprentices, and I've certainly donated a fair few bricks of my time. So, to all my fellow BTO hod carriers, I'm pleased to accept and share this award with you. There are many, many people who facilitated, encouraged, helped and cajoled me over my past 44-year obsession with bird ringing and close association with the BTO. But I'd especially like to thank Professor Mike Hayward, my nominator, for selflessly thinking of others whilst battling ill health himself. I'd also like to thank my old biology teacher, John Milner, for encouraging me back in my school days. To my trainer, Chris Whittles, and also Julian Langford for training me. To the three Davises, the late Peter Davis, Peter Walters Davis and John Davis, for being absolutely inspirational mentors. To Paul Leaf, Jack Turner Moss and Jane Kelsall, my fellow co-founders of the Mid Wales Ringing Group, for renewing my interest and enthusiasm a few years back when it waned slightly. Thanks also to the current members of the Ringing Group for keeping me going now that I'm getting a bit long in the tooth. I find I can relive vicariously the excitement and enthusiasm that I had back in the day through them. I would also like to thank Adrienne Stratford, my co-conspirator in so many projects. And finally, I'd like to thank my family, Caroline, Amy and Hannah, just for being there and for putting up with me on the rare occasions that I'm at home. Also for foregoing the income that I spend on birds, rings and ringing equipment. It can't have been that bad though. Amy, my eldest, has just qualified as a sea ringer and is taking up the family business. So that's it. Thanks to the BTO once again for this wonderful award. My apologies to anybody I've left out, and to the rest of us, let's keep building for as long as we're able. With the challenges of climate change and ever accelerated habitat destruction, our collected efforts have never been more essential. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Goodbye.
It gives me great pleasure to nominate Mike Archer for the Jubilee Medal for committed devotion to the Trust. Volunteer-gathered information about birds is at the core of what BTO does, and Mike couldn't be more closely aligned to this aim. He joined BTO and began attending our annual conferences in the 80s. He's been involved in 9 different surveys and is a long-term ringer with various ringing groups and bird observatories. But there are 2 contributions of Mike's in particular that I want to talk about. Firstly, supporting and inspiring the next generation of volunteer bird surveyors. And secondly, his efforts to ensure the digitization of bird observatory data. Mike understands the importance of young people, and with that in mind, suggested a supported places scheme for our annual conference back in 2007, and he's been supporting that himself ever since. At our conference in 2012, he responded to a call to action from a young birdwatcher, Alex Rhodes, who challenged BTO to inspire the next generation. Mike immediately set about pioneering another of our earliest youth initiative schemes, the Young Bird Observatory Volunteers Programme, which has now supported more than 70 young people with their expenses for volunteering stays at bird observatories around Britain and Ireland. In terms of data digitization, Mike recognized an urgent need for bird observatories to computerize decades worth of ringing data and daily census records, both to safeguard these for the future, but also to make them available for research and conservation through BirdTrack and elsewhere. Mike is a great motivator, and his amazing track record for recruiting volunteers to the unglamorous task of data entry is testament to his ability to enthuse and mobilize people. Mike's selfless approach is epitomized by his response to this nomination, which was to say what a fantastic opportunity it would be to thank all those volunteers. So congratulations on your Jubilee Medal, Mike. It is richly deserved. Many thanks for everything you've done, and long may it continue.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to say some thank yous. First to Nick Moran for his kind introductory words, and also for the support he's given me throughout his time with BirdTrack and in connection with the engagement with young people. Secondly, thanks very much indeed to the BTO board for the signal honour of the award of the Jubilee Medal, which I'm delighted to accept, particularly as it reflects so well on the skills, enthusiasm and perseverance of the volunteers who serve BirdTrack and the bird observatories for so long with regard to the historic data project. We'd be nowhere without their efforts. Taking just a few names at random out of a hat, so to speak, I can mention volunteers Jenny from Maidenhead, Nikki from Mallaig in Inverness, Liz from Battle in Sussex, Martin from Moccas, hard by the Wye Valley on the Welsh borders, and Mark from the Yorkshire Filey coast. Sadly, there's not time to mention all the rest. Finally, I must thank the BTO for the fine medal. Fatarinas have served the BTO brilliantly in producing this splendid Jubilee medal. And many thanks to you all.
Tony Davis continues to make a very significant and outstanding contribution to the BTO's scientific work, both through his personal contributions as a ringer and a nest recorder, and through the time that he has put into supporting staff-led projects on declining migrants, and to mentoring new ringers and nest recorders. Tony has been leading BTO NRS training courses in a voluntary capacity since 2008, and there are many current nest recorders who will have learned their skills from Tony, his efforts thus ensuring that the organisation continues to receive valuable data across a broad range of nesting species. His dedication, putting in many hours in the field to recce sites, train the volunteers, and to follow up on the outcomes of the nests found during the week-long courses, deserves recognition. Tony's contribution to BTO's scientific studies of declining African migrants is just as significant. He has been working with Chris Hewson on high-profile tracking studies of several species, including cuckoo and wood warbler, the latter of which has benefited greatly from Tony's own project work on the species within the New Forest. Tony also works tirelessly to support younger ringers and nest recorders, both as a mentor and through his support of the Young Birdwatchers Camp run by the Cameron Besbolka Trust. Tony has been a tremendous ambassador for BTO Science, making it accessible for a broad range of audiences, including government ministers, and I'm delighted to be able to nominate him for a BTO medal.
Really grateful to have been given this award. It means more to me than any other award could do, really, partly because the BTO is such a fantastic organisation, but partly also because I already have a Tucker medal, and this was awarded to my late father in 1982. I've always been extremely proud of what my father achieved in ornithology, and the Tucker medal has been a sort of material reminder of what he achieved. So to have my own medal now is really quite astonishing to me, yeah, I'm extremely grateful for this honour. There's a number of people that I would like to thank. Obviously, first and foremost, my father for passing on his incredible field skills to me, and also giving me an understanding of how fundamentally important it is to find and monitor birds' nests, and how much you learn about the birds through extended observation of birds when they're breeding. I'd also like to thank members of my ringing team for putting up with me at 4 a.m. after 2 hours sleep, for being a really great bunch of people, and for supplying copious amounts of chocolate and cake. They will make me very proud. I would also like to thank everyone who's attended the Nest Record Scheme courses over the years, many of whom have gone on to make very significant contributions to the scheme subsequently. But they've made those weekends so enjoyable. It's always the highlight of my year, and I very much hope that we'll be able to restart the schemes, the courses again in 2022. Particular thanks must go to Mike Toms and Carl Barrymore, who have run the courses with me over the years, and without whom they would just not be possible. Last but by no means least, I would like to thank the staff in the BTO's demography unit. I think we forget sometimes that without their hard work and dedication, none of what we do would really be possible. So I am extremely grateful to them for what they do. Anyway, thank you ever so much for this award. I'm still a bit shocked that to have been nominated for it. Yeah, thanks very much.